Hi, this is Carl with another SOP video for managed service providers. Today I want to talk about some end of year processes and procedures. The first thing we want to talk about is files. Not just within your company, but with your clients as well. Here's what I mean by files, both in Exchange and in the files and folders within your storage, whether that's a local server or a cloud server. You need to take care of managing that space. I personally love a system where there's a primary folder for the year. So I've got a 2019, 2020, 2021 folder, and in each of those, there you'll have client information, employee information, marketing, sales, right? All kinds of stuff. So each of those folders, but that route allows you to find things very quickly by year. It also allows you to archive last year's stuff and put it off into longer term, probably less expensive storage. Generally, the way it works is sometime in December, I create the folder for the new year and then tell employees anything that you're scheduling for 2021 goes into the new folders, and we'll recreate the same structure as we need it. The beautiful thing about this is you start with almost nothing in those folders, and so you only create the folders that you actually end up needing in the new year. So there's no point in bloating them by copying over the entire year. You tell your employees, copy, don't move things from this year to the next year folders, and then update them as needed. And that way you're only copying over the stuff that you're actually going to use or need. You know, there might be a standardized Excel spreadsheet, for example, that you're tracking some things. Well, that tracking sheet needs to move over or to be copied over and then updated from there. But you don't need everything else that's in your processes folder necessarily. So be stingy with that storage space, because in the long term, it's going to cost you money. So you create those folders, and eventually you're going to archive that. I usually find somewhere around March or April, we're done accessing the old folders. We've moved or copied over everything that we want, and then we can move that last year folder into longer term storage. The second category that you need to look at is reviews, and there's lots of different reviews. Start with vendor reviews and engage your employees in this process. Ask the service manager about the vendors they deal with. Ask the front office about the vendors they deal with. Ask the salespeople about the distributors and vendors that they deal with. In each case, find out, was it a good experience? Is the vendor moving in the right direction? Are they still the kind of company that we want to work with? Do they have new products and things that we should be exploring? Are there new vendors that we should be looking at? Are there some old vendors that maybe that's not working out so well? You need to be aware of that so you can make good decisions. Second kind of review that I would do is your internal processes. How are your processes working? Are they being updated on a regular basis? How are your employees doing managing those processes so that you have continuous incremental improvement? Just sort of review how that is. Make sure that you've got a good copy of all your documentation in one place. So whether that's inside a tool or whether it's just files and folders on your storage, make sure you've got a good copy of that. Make sure that it's backed up, and make sure that if you need to make some changes, you put that on your to-do list for the next year. And finally, of course, we need to do employee reviews. Now, I personally like to do regular ongoing reviews, at least quarterly, if not monthly. I think if you give somebody actually a performance review once a year, that's kind of the same as not doing it at all. So that whole concept that once a year you can give somebody a grade and it's somehow like fourth grade or something, that's just silly in business. Your employees need to constantly have feedback so they can constantly make improvements. They need to know that the little things that they're doing are in line or not in line with what you expect. So once a year, what we want to do is to say, here's the big picture. Here's where we think things are going. You know, I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to give me some feedback. How do you see things going in your department, in your job, right? And if there's something that they need to tell you about their personal life, make sure that they have that opportunity. I would not personally tie performance reviews to their income. But at some point you need to do an annual review. So you might do that on the anniversary of hiring the employee, or you might do it just for everybody at the beginning of the year or the end of the year. Make sure that you do it fairly consistently, right? That people need to know that they're going to get a review of their actual salary at some point, and don't skip it. You may not think the employee is paying attention, but I assure you, every employee who is paid on a salary or hourly is waiting for their annual review. The last thing I recommend that you look at is the clients and what's going on with the clients. First of all, you should have an end-of-year process for clients. This includes making sure they've got a copy of all their documentation, both in-house and cloud-based. They need to know where all their stuff is. Where is their domain actually housed? Who's the registrar? Where is the website? Where is the email? Where is the storage? Right? Where is the backup? All of those things need to be documented and written down, printed out to be given to the client. So whatever system you use, make sure that you can have a printout that the client can take and put in a file folder with all of their end-of-year financial and other documentation. Along the same lines, they need a physical backup of their data. So whatever they've got in the cloud, I don't care if it's 5 terabytes, they need a physical backup on one or more disks that they can put into that storage box, and it goes into a secure offsite storage forever. That is literally a legal and financial snapshot of their business, and the clients need to know that that's what it is. They need to see it in those terms. This is one of these things where you should just be doing this, but you should make sure they're aware that you are contributing to the well-being of their overall business. This helps you to paint yourself as a business advisor and not just the IT person. The other thing you want to do is engage the client in an end-of-year roadmap meeting, especially this year. As we tick over from 2020 to 2021, we're in the middle of a recession. You need to have a conversation with every client. How are you doing? How's the recession going for you? Are you growing or shrinking? Do you have new opportunities that might emerge as we come out of the recession? Are you going to be hiring or laying people off in Q1, Q2, Q3? Do you have money to make the updates that you know you need to do to your technology, or are we going to have to put those off? Either one is fine. This is not a sales meeting. This is a strategy meeting, right? So have that conversation. Ask the client literally, how are you doing? How is your company doing? Are you growing? Are you shrinking? Find out about that, because at the end of the day, your job is to help them to make good decisions about their technology. And that includes taking some things out of the loop, making sure that you unplug machines that are not being used so they don't accidentally become a security hole, moving older machines off if they're not being used, and moving newer machines to the desktops of the people who are still in the office working. Speaking of in the office, this year more than ever, are people coming back to the office? If so, what's the schedule? When can we plan on that, right? Again, none of this is a sales discussion. This is a roadmap conversation to help you and the client build your future together. When you make decisions in a roadmap meeting, you can write them down, you can send a memo, you can document that. And then when it's time to implement those decisions 3, 4, 5 months from now, you can say, well, you know, as we discussed, when we get to this point, we're going to move you to a cloud backup. Would you like me to get you a quote for that? There is no sales involved in this. It is simply continuing that conversation. Make sure that you plan to have a truly spectacular 2021, and it starts by building your end-of-year checklist for your own company. For Small Biz Thoughts, this is Carl Palachuk wishing you the best of luck in your managed service business.
Please like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you can be notified when we post a new video.